Hi, my name is Sarah Joy, and I'm from Fort Worth, Texas. I love Finding Balance because when I was in the middle of my eating disorder more than 20 years ago, there wasn't a resource like this. I wish I had had this type of community to walk alongside me in my recovery back then. Today, I'm still peeling back the layers of many years of diet culture and disordered eating that remained after trying to recover without Jesus as my source for healing. Having a safe place to share my thoughts, my fears, the setbacks, and the wins has been incredibly helpful, but the greatest asset Finding Balance offers me is that they constantly point me to Jesus for freedom. Finding Balance is a nonprofit ministry that helps women find Jesus in the middle of their struggles with eating disorders and other food and body image challenges. We provide Christ-centered resources like prayer groups, this podcast, the Hello Freedom community, and more to meet women where they are on their freedom journey. We're a crowdfunded ministry supported by monthly giving from people like me. To learn more or become a freedom giver, visit findingbalance.com.
Hey friends, I am thrilled to introduce today's episode to you. We are just going to go back to the archives and pull out one of my favorite throwbacks. Like, this one is too good to just get buried in season 2. So my guest is Brittany Braswell, a registered dietitian nutritionist who really knows her stuff and makes it so easy to understand and apply. So here's what I love about this episode. We get into the 3 most common mistakes women make in recovery, and Brittany doesn't just name them. She tells you exactly what to do instead. So we're covering things like waiting for your body to change before you start caring for it, wanting to lose weight before learning to eat intuitively, and reaching for coping skills that aren't actually meeting your real needs. So tangible, so good. And one quick update, since we recorded this episode, Brittany's podcast now has a new name. You can find her on the Faith-Filled Food Freedom Podcast. We'll drop a link in the show notes for you to find her. So whether you're brand new to recovery or you've been at this for years, I really think this one's going to hit home. So let's go. Hey, Brittany, welcome to the show.
Hey, Chrissy. I'm so pumped to be able to talk to you today.
Yay, we had so much fun on the Joy-Filled Eater podcast. So obviously, we're going to have a lot of fun over here on the Old School Food Freedom podcast.
Of course.
Before we begin, I really want to just tell our listeners about you. Brittany is a registered dietitian, recovery coach, and the host of the Joy-Filled Eater podcast. She specializes in the treatment of disordered eating and negative body image, providing Christ-centered recovery coaching to Christian women who are ready to break free from the bondage of food guilt and body shame. That is Brittany Braswell.
Well, thank you, Chrissy.
You're welcome. So we love to kick off this show with a question. What old school item do you miss from back in the day?
Gosh, Chrissy, as I was thinking through this, because I always hear you ask everybody on the show this, and I came up with 3, but I'll give you kind of the one that I settled in on. I feel like it's going to sound silly, which is totally fine. It's the Kool-Aid Man pitcher. Did you ever have one of those?
Yes, I had plastic cups with him on there.
Yes, and I don't know why. I think it's just because it feels so nostalgic to me, because if you haven't had one, it's this little red pitcher that's, like, I don't know, 10 or 12 inches tall, and it has the Kool-Aid Man face on it. And we put, I think that's the only pitcher we had for the longest time, because my sister and I have a sister that's 4 years younger, and we didn't want to drink out of anything else. We had water in it, we had Kool-Aid, lemonade, whatever. And I think once it cracked, because we use it so much, they stopped making them. So that was the end of the Kool-Aid Man.
It was like the go-to liquid container.
Yes. Before it was popular to have, your refillable water bottle or your whatever. It was get the Kool-Aid Man pitcher and just keep it handy.
For sure. I don't know if we had the pitcher, but I remember having little, a translucent kind of plastic cup with him etched on, not etched,
yes.
But you could feel it, sensory, you could feel it, but you could always see whatever color of Kool-Aid that, came through. It would always come through the cup. So, love that. Well, now we obviously have to know what your other 2 are, because you can't just say, I thought of 3, but let's just go with this one. What are the other 2?
Oh, gosh. Okay, well, 2 of the 3 had to do with food and drink. So
yeah,
there we
course.
go. I'm a dietitian. Sort of food and drink, I guess. The other 2 were the bubble jug gum. Do you remember those little containers that they look like a little teeny tiny jug of something, and it's filled with these teeny little, almost powdered bubble gum. And we used to.
Is this a Southern thing? What's going on?
I have no idea.
Bubble
Now
jug.
that you say that, now I'm like curious. Bubble jug. And it came in like all these different flavors. It's kind of like the, I don't even know what the gum is called now that they used to have for like 5 cents in the gas station. But yeah, it's like powdered bubble gum. And you like pour it in your hand, you lick it off, and then it turns like from powder into gum.
Oh, that would have been my jam all day.
Oh, we loved it. We blow like giant bubbles. And of course, it gets stuck in your hair when you're in 2nd grade, and it's great. And I think the other one, and I don't know why they don't do these anymore. Maybe they do, and I don't see it. But I loved Polly Pockets. That was like the thing for us more so than Barbies. Me and my sister both would like carry these teeny little Polly Pockets around, and they're like, I don't even know how we played with them because they're so small. Like you got to pinch them with your fingers, and they have this teeny little house that they live in. But for some reason,
Total
we were
choking
like,
hazard.
yes, that's probably
the
why they
most
don't
dangerous.
do it anymore.
Like they're banned for life.
Polly
Pockets.
Yes, all of the choke hazards. But I guess for some reason, we just thought it was fascinating to make teeny tiny. I want to say life size, like they felt life size compared to their little house. So maybe that's what it was. But we were like fascinated.
To scale.
Yes.
Amazing. Oh, I'm glad you shared those. That's so nostalgic. Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about 3 mistakes that most people make in recovery and what to do instead. This is a pretty good topic because recovery is hard.
Mm-hmm.
We're not perfect. So many people try to aim for perfection and it's just not possible. So right away, just wipe that slate clean. You don't need to be perfect. Don't try to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. And we're going to talk about 3 mistakes that most people make and what you can do instead.
Yes. And I love this topic, Chrissy, because I mean, of exactly what you said, most often I find that when I have the most growth, it's because I've realized there's some mistake or something that has been happening that's been holding me back. And so I want to say that again, just to give grace that if you recognize any of these, this is not for condemnation or saying, hey, you're doing this recovery thing wrong. It's to say, let's see if we can remove one of the barriers that might be keeping you from making that next step in recovery that you need. So yes, I'm excited to dive into this with you today.
It's us helping you help yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. What is mistake number 1?
So mistake number 1 for anyone who is trying to overcome issues with food and you're really wanting to get to food freedom, so often that is preempted by this dislike of your body, weight, shape, size, whatever. And so one of the biggest mistakes that I see is women or men believing that body change is going to lead to or equal better body image. That once my body changes, then I'll like it better, or then I'll like myself better. But most people who struggle with negative body image, they just really have a hard time letting go of that belief that like there's this perfect or this ideal weight or composition. And when I get there, I'll accept my body. So I think in order to start really diving into that, you kind of have to ask yourself this question, like, okay, well, is there something or what is it maybe that I've been putting off until I reach that ideal weight? Because sometimes this mistake is hard to figure out, like, do I struggle with this or not? But if you ask yourself that question and go, okay, and Chrissy, you may have some insight into this too, like, was there ever anything that you feel like you put off saying, okay, well, once I get to this, pant size or this number on the scale or this whatever, then I'll do that thing?
Oh, I mean, the list is extremely long, especially like in ministry, anywhere that God could use me. And I feel that pull of like, God gave me this gift. I am good at this, but I just can't show up the way I am. I got to get this under control. I got to shrink down with my body before he can really use me. And man, the enemy, the amount of things the enemy was able to, I mean, he can't make you do anything, but he can sure convince you and paint this picture and set traps. And at times, I just fell right into them.
Yeah. And it's so easy to do. We think that if we shrink our body or if we're in a smaller size or if we change this one thing, maybe for you, it's not weight, maybe it's something else about your body you dislike, that you're just like, that thing has to change. So like for me and for some of my clients, it's been things like, putting off a fun trip or vacation because, I cannot afford to eat vacation food right now.
Yeah.
Right. Or maybe it's like you want to play with your kids or spend time with your friends. But like we used to live really close to the beach and I would have so many clients that say like, I'm not going to the beach. I can't spend time with my kids or family there because I won't put on a swimsuit. Or maybe I don't feel comfortable wearing shorts.
Yeah.
And that distraction of your body or your negative body image gets in the way of experiencing life because you feel like, okay, in order for my body image to get better, my weight or my body has to change first.
And we just miss out. It's robbing us of experiences and living life when it's happening right now. Even taking pictures. I'm in a position where I'm trying to just show up. This is the moment. This is happening. These are my friends. These are my family. I want to show up in pictures and not critique them, not, say, oh, we need to edit this out. Can you not post this one? And not like control the whole thing. I want to show up and be present and have that memory rather than hiding in the background. So all you see is my face.
That has been, I think it was just last week, I was having a conversation with one of my clients who's a college student. And she said, Brittany, one of the things that frustrates me or that I hate most about the struggle with body image is she's like, I'm in my second or third semester of college. And she said, I have like maybe 2 pictures from college so far because I've refused to get in them. And I want that to change. I don't want to graduate college and have no, tangible images and memories of, the things that I got to do with my friends because I was so distracted by my dislike of my body.
Oh, and that it just feels like, gosh, that's so young to be feeling that way, but this is reality. Oh, but we don't have to be stuck there.
Right. Absolutely not. So when you fall into these traps, like something that you can do instead of saying like, okay, body weight equals better body image. Don't do that. Just start caring for your body now. Okay. And I think that the term self-care gets used in so many different ways. But what I think is most helpful is to look at first, what does caring for yourself look like? And why is it necessary? And what does self-care not look like? Because I think we get the wrong idea.
Hey, yes.
It's just really this intentionality behind different practices or habits to help you preserve or improve your whole health. And that's not just physically, but that's part of it, right? So I think we often get this misconception like self-care is, massages and manicures. And that could be a part of it,
and bubble baths, yes.
And bubble baths, right? Those are all wonderful things. But there's like these 2 extremes. It's not just the aesthetic and the relaxing and the things that maybe feel a little bit more luxury or extravagant sometimes. They're like, I have to take all this extra time for myself, right? Sometimes that could be the case, but it's also, I think another big conception about self-care is that it's not ignoring your health either and going, okay, I'll just do all of the things and only think about myself and ignore the physical side of things. So when you start caring for your body now, it really allows you to start that habit of just practicing honoring your value. And it gives you a chance to focus on your body less, not more.
Yeah.
Okay. So
good.
That is part of people think about, okay, well, when it comes to body image, I just need to give myself all these positive body affirmations and I need to tell myself how great my body is. But when you focus on your body more, you're focusing on your body more, right? So you got to focus on it less, not more. So that means that self-care when it comes to your body is not getting on the scale. It's not wearing overly tight or baggy clothing that's going to cause you to focus on your body more. It's not cutting out whole food groups, right? It's not pushing your body to its physical limits with movement. And so if you're having trouble figuring out, well, what would self-care for my body look like? It's at least easier for me sometimes just to go, what is self-care not? Like, what am I doing right now that is not filling my cup? And just give yourself that list of things and go, okay, what can I do to focus less on these things and not more?
You might even say it's finding balance between...
Ding, ding, ding.
I mean, like, can we stop doing that every episode? I try not to, but like...
I love it.
That's why God gave the name Finding Balance to Constance when she founded Finding Balance 21 years ago. I mean, because so much of this diet mentality is all or nothing thinking. And it gets us into trouble. It gets us into these mistakes that we make, and there's a better way.
Yes. And also, I guess some clarity with this too. This is not to say don't focus on your body at all. I know we don't have time to walk through it today, but I go through an illustration with my students on a framework that I created called the Body Focus and Intentionality Framework, just to help you see like how much focus are you putting on your body and what level of intentionality is there, because we want some focus, right? Like we want to recognize what's going on in our body so that we can use wisdom to make the kind of decision that's going to help us enjoy it, honor it, be a great steward of it. But we don't want it to bleed into, okay, if I focus on my body all the time, then I'll like it better, then it'll feel better. So yeah, there's absolutely this place where you have to find the balance between putting enough focus on it that you can hear from it and you're not afraid of that, but also not diving to the deep end going, let me just focus on everything about my body all the time.
Yeah.
Because it gets you in that place of critique more often than
and not. Idolatry.
Oh, 100%. That's a whole nother conversation.
That's another episode. But yes.
Yes. Go back and listen to the episode with Heather on that one. She did a great job talking about that.
Yeah. Okay. So that was mistake number 1. Thinking body change equals better body image. Mistake number 2.
I get so much pushback on this one. But this is when someone says, okay, well, I'm just going to wait to learn how to eat more intuitively until after I've lost weight. Or until after I've changed my body. I'm going to do the weight loss thing. I'm going to do the dieting, the whatever. And then I'll learn how to be more of an intuitive eater after that.
Ooh, that's rough.
Right?
Yeah. So when you say I get a lot of pushback, how does that look?
So like if I'm talking to a client and depending on where they are in their stage of recovery, most of what I do, I would consider with a lot of my clients is kind of the prequel to intuitive eating.
Okay.
So it's kind of in this gap between like, okay, I'm recovering from an eating disorder, but I don't know that I'm totally ready to dive into intuitive eating either. Like there's some foundational things you got to get set before you can work on being an intuitive eater. And so often they're still in the dieting mindset. We're trying to get to this place of focusing on your identity and focusing on your fears and looking at your behaviors and what are they doing for you. And so when I get pushback, it's usually like, well, if I focus on intuitive eating now, my body's just going to change a lot and it's going to make my body image worse and it's going to make my behaviors worse and all these things that they're afraid of. And so I have to ask them like, okay, if you've been telling yourself, hey, once I lose X number of pounds, then I'll switch to intuitive eating and maintain my body size. We can't just look at how you feel about it or your experience with it because we have to look at big picture. So part of that, if logic or statistics helps you to come at it from like a objective place and not this subjective feelings, like letting your feelings make the decision for you.
Right.
We know from tons of research and studies that tell us that weighing yourself and dieting are so much associated with the development of eating disorders and the severity of that. And so when you can move your focus from weight or body change to health promotion, that can actually result in significantly better outcomes from a physical health standpoint, mental health, and I would even absolutely say spiritual health than pursuing that intentional weight loss. Because if that's the focus first, it's going to be really hard to switch to intuitive eating because you're going to be focused on, okay, now that I've achieved this specific weight, now I'm going to eat intuitively, quote unquote, to maintain.
Oh, right.
But it's going to be the same mindset.
Yeah. And when you said, I've actually forgotten the exact word that you used, but you said something about moving into health promotion. And so I feel like it's worth noting that when you say health promotion, like we mean a balanced, healthy health promotion, not to an extreme. Because I feel like when you're in that dieting mentality, okay, so I'm just going to share from my personal journey because it was really difficult. I was so afraid to get into intuitive eating, which is just learning how to view food and respond to food and those hunger cues and even hearing hunger cues again, the way God intended it. It's like eating. It would just be eating and living in our body. If diet culture wasn't a thing, this would just be normal. But because it's so broken, diet culture is just a mess. And we've learned all these bad rules and false teachings. Like you feel this panic of, where do I find the balance? How can I get there without going from one extreme to another with extreme healthy eating and cutting out all kinds of food groups and rigid health rules? That was very terrifying for me. I was really, really scared.
Yeah. And I think that's why there is a lot of intention, I think, in the order behind the principles of intuitive eating. But I fully believe that's why it's so important to do a lot of the foundational work when it comes to what you really believe about yourself and who you are and where your value comes from before you start trying to implement even health promotion behaviors. A lot of times, it's not to say we're just going to focus on this one thing and ignore the behaviors. But when you focus on the behaviors so early and you don't have like the why and the reasoning and the understanding behind what's going to happen when these behaviors are gone, you're just going to find new behaviors to cover it up. So yeah, like gentle nutrition, yes, absolutely important. A health promoting behavior could be incorporating more nutritionally dense foods. And that could also turn into an obsession if you're not in the right mindset to do that. So health promoting behaviors don't have to only be physical either, because we're looking at whole health here, at the whole person. You are not your body, right? You live in a body. So it might be prioritizing sleep. It might be prioritizing other forms of rest. It could be joyful movement. It could be getting into scripture and learning how to abide with Christ rather than just trying to follow all the quote unquote Christian rules, right? Yeah. There's so many different things that promote our health that are oftentimes going to lead to better health outcomes physically and mentally than focusing on weight loss. And Chrissy, this is one of my favorite things to debunk for people, because I see this time and time again with the women that I work with when they're like, if I start intuitive eating, if I start it now, I'm not going to have these changes that I want, or my health is going to get worse. And one of my clients that I got to work with recently shared this. We've been on this food freedom journey for a little while. And she came to me initially because she said, my doctor told me I need to lose weight to improve my cholesterol levels. And so y'all can't see me. I'm like doing this.
She's sliding down. Let me paint the picture. She is sliding down into her chair onto the floor.
Of my chair because I just want to pull my hair out. So
same.
We had this conversation about how, okay, again, weight loss is a means to an end here. So if you're listening to this and you're like, no, I just want to lose weight because whatever, figure out what that because is. That's what you actually want. The weight loss that's never anybody's end goal. It's a means to an end. So we looked at, okay, what can we focus on to improve your cholesterol without screwing up your relationship with food in the process? Okay.
Gentle. Oh.
Yes. And so there are things that you can do, not just from a nutritional standpoint, but that can be one of them, right? So we looked at, first and foremost, what is your relationship with food in your body right now? Let's look at gentle movement. Let's look at your body image. Let's look at your beliefs about what's even possible. And it was so fun for her. Like, she got to see her LDL drop over the course of, I don't know, maybe 4 months, 5 months that we were focusing on this. It dropped like almost 25 points. Her vitamin D levels improved.
Wow.
All of her vital signs improved. And she came back, and there was 1 week in session. She was like, I'm nervous because I've got my follow-up doctor's appointment, after he sent this initial referral. And she comes back the next week and she goes, he told me just to keep doing what I was doing because everything improved.
Yes. Praise God. That's a victory.
Yes. I loved it too, because she was able to tell her doctor, like, I wasn't focused on weight loss. Yeah. Like, I got all these improvements and I didn't do what she told me to do.
Did she say what the doctor's response was to that, or did they respond at all?
Yeah, she just said, like, he was amazed. And she was like, he just told me keep doing what I'm doing because it was obviously helping.
That's so good. Yeah. And that's a gentle way of advocating for yourself.
Yeah.
Teaching a physician just by your example of what has worked in your life. We want to come in there, with our fist in a ball, like ready to fight. But like, it doesn't have to be that way. I think that's a very sweet, gracious approach.
Yeah. She was able to voice that to him in a way that wasn't brash, or she just said, like, I heard what you said. Like, the recommendation was not bad. Like, we need to do something to improve your cholesterol levels. It was the means to that that was off, right? So just because you get a recommendation, and again, like, please take this with a grain of salt. I don't want anybody to take this as medical advice.
Right. Yes.
But
Thank you.
When you do get a recommendation from, whether it's a physician or someone else, really focus in and ask more questions. Because if the goal is, in this case, it was improved cholesterol levels. If they mention something about weight, it's okay to question and say, why do you believe weight loss is the only way to get this? Or this is a little bit more blunt one. So if you're a little more straightforward, maybe I'm your girl for this, but like it's okay to tell the doctor, I've had clients do this before. Like, if I was in a smaller body size, what
Yeah.
recommendation would you be giving me right now to improve my cholesterol? Because that's a big hesitation for so many people, is saying, like, I don't even want to go to the doctor because I know they're just going to tell me to change my body. And so it's okay to ask questions or to ask for clarity on, okay, if this is what's necessary, this improved cholesterol level, that's a health related thing. That's totally fine. We can work towards that. But is the weight loss, like, why do you believe that's necessary? And what are some other approaches we could take?
Yeah, so good. So do you feel like we covered mistake number 2, losing weight before learning to eat intuitively? Or I don't know if it's losing weight, but the desire to lose weight before. Yeah.
I think the only thing I would add to that, because we've really already kind of touched on this, is just instead of focusing on the weight loss, focus on cultivating body wisdom.
Yeah.
And we already kind of talked about that to some degree, but it really just means, like, give yourself that opportunity to learn what fuels your physical and mental health. And that's oftentimes where a provider can come in and be, really helpful, like to help figure out, okay, when my body feels this way, what is that potentially an indication of? Right. And so you want to be able to recognize what's going on in your body so that you can respond to it. And you are going to know your body better than anybody else. And so having someone come alongside you and finding balance. I love that you guys have the provider referral list. So if y'all are looking for somebody, like therapists, dietitians, so many people, such a phenomenal resource. But you don't have to go it alone. If you need help going, my body's given me all these really uncomfortable, horrible symptoms and side effects, I don't even know what they mean. That's a really fantastic place you can lean in. So instead of focusing on just that desire for weight change, you can focus on, what is my body telling me and what can I do specific to my body or to my health to focus on instead of, just the weight.
So good. If you've been wondering if your struggles with food are normal, or if you need help, but you're just not sure where to start, we have created a brand new free eating issues check-in just for you. So this is a confidential tool that helps you understand your relationship with food and eating. And when you're done, you'll get instant, personalized results showing where you are now and what kind of support might help you. Plus, we're going to connect you with Christ-centered resources matched to your specific needs. So this just takes about 10 minutes, and it could be the brave first step toward the freedom you're seeking. So if you are ready to find out where you stand, take the Eating Issues Check-in at FINDINGbalance.com. Okay, what is mistake number 3?
This is my favorite one. This could be a whole other conversation in itself, but I think probably one of the most frequently made mistakes is trying to use temporary coping skills that don't actually meet your needs.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess to kind of explain what this means, like, coping skills are usually meant to act as like kind of this usually temporary Band-Aid, right? In a situation, and they may not always be effective. So I think a good analogy for this, if you think about, like, if you're sitting on your back porch, right, and you get stung by a wasp, right? It's going to be really painful. You're going to go inside, and your kind of fix for that moment might be like some topical Benadryl or an ice pack or something to, like, take the swelling down or reduce the pain. But if you go back outside and the wasp nest is still there, you're probably going to get stung over and over again.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got to really figure out, like, how can I deal with this in a way that's going to be sustainable and effective? Not just, okay, let me go get another ice pack every time I get stung. And I hear this from a wide variety of therapists that I've even had conversations with. Coping skills are wonderful. But if the skill that you're using, like, let's say you feel like you just need to keep your hands busy, right? Like, okay, well, I'm going to play with putty.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's not to say this isn't a great coping skill, but it just depends on what you're using it for. If the behavior you're trying to eliminate is binging, and they're like, okay, well, instead of going and opening a wrapper of something, just play with putty and keep your hands busy. Well, if binging isn't only a means of, like, hey, I'm stressed and I need some sort of, like, physical stress relief, okay, the putty might be great for that. But if the binging has a whole nother need or purpose, if it's to reduce anxiety, if it is a way, like a means of taking out your anger or self-punishment, putty's not going to do that for you.
Yeah.
So you've got to identify first the need that the behavior is meeting for you. And once you know that, then you can focus on choosing a coping skill, and especially working with a therapist with this is so helpful to say, hey, this is what I'm figuring out, like binging is doing for me. Can you help me figure out how to cope with this in a different way so that that need doesn't go unmet? Because if you use putty and it's not meeting the same need, then it might work temporarily, but you're probably just going to end up coping in another unhealthy way later.
And there's a root to uncover, to unearth and remove. Like, I know we've talked about this in other episodes before, but if I go out into my backyard that's filled with dandelions and I just go and start pulling them up by their stems, like the next day or a couple days later, they're going to be back in full force. And so I've got to get to the root to get rid of that. Sometimes getting to the root, it's more likely than not, it's uncomfortable. It's hard. It's something we want to avoid many times because we're ignoring things that have happened to us because we don't want to go there. But in order to go there or to find that freedom and the healing from traumas and things that have happened to us, we've got to get to the root of it. And so that really does require working with the professional who understands how to get to that root. Because even though we know that they are there, we need help locating them and removing a professional. Yeah.
And I think this goes too with so many different types of behaviors. There's probably 6 or 7 needs that I see a lot of disordered eating behaviors meeting, but this goes across the board. Like for me, one of my habits that I have had phases that it's improved and phases where it's like, is hitting the snooze button. And so when I go, okay, well, what need is that meeting for me? In that moment, it's more sleep, right? It may not be restful, deep sleep, but I'm like, okay, the problem with it though, I have to go, oh my goodness, like this is making my morning more rushed. If I keep hitting snooze, it's going to have the potential to make me, get my kids to school late or miss a session with a client or just like feel frazzled, right? So instead of hitting the snooze button going, okay, I mean, this is meeting a need in the moment, right? It's a valid need. Like I need more sleep. But a better solution would be to go, okay, I'm not going to like shame myself for hitting snooze today, right? But I can explore solutions like maybe it's going to bed earlier the next night. Maybe it's taking a nap if I'm able to. Maybe it is choosing activities that are less physically draining that day or the following day, right? There's other things that can meet the need for more sleep or more rest in a much more effective way than just hitting snooze and ultimately creating new problems. So, like you said, we got to get to the root of what is the need or what is the purpose that this behavior is fulfilling and how can I cope with it in a very targeted, intentional way so that I'm not just putting a Band-Aid fix on it.
So, Brittany, what are some of the most common needs that you see disordered behaviors are meeting for people?
The ones that I see, and I'll say this is not fully comprehensive, but there's 7, I guess, that I see over and over and over again. And so if you can identify any of these 7, it gives you a chance to explore even further out from that. So maybe if it works for you, Chrissy, I'll just kind of list through them. And then if there's any that jump out at you that you want us to dig into a little bit, we could do that too.
That works. Yep.
So the top 7 that I see, I guess in no particular order, is providing a sense of safety. So as you hear these, think about like behaviors like restricting, binging, overexercise, isolation, whatever it might be. So those behaviors can provide a sense of safety, right? And it's a sense of it. Doesn't mean it's like real safety, right? But it gives you that sense. It may feel like it's helping you to reduce your anxiety level. The third one would be making you feel more in control. A fourth one would be it's promising to, I'm going to use air quotes here, solve a problem or make it feel like that in the moment.
Yeah.
The fifth one would be like a means of taking out your anger, whether it's anger of yourself, I guess, like being mad at yourself or someone else, taking it out on yourself, essentially. Number 6 would be kind of temporarily relieving stress. And that can often kind of go hand in hand with the anxiety reduction as well. And then the 7th one would be like to numb out or repress feelings. So those are the ones I see most often when it comes to disordered eating and body image related behaviors.
So the one that really jumps out to me is feeling like I was solving a problem. And I say that because I viewed my body, my weight, as a problem. Because my society told me, even in church, sometimes I would get that message that a larger body was a problem to be solved. I see it on TV commercials every single day. I saw that when I was a kid every single day. It was modeled for me at school. It was modeled for me in other areas by women I looked up to, family members I looked up to. And so to solve a problem and then feel like I'm in control of that by doing these things, I could reduce my number on the scale because the scale seemed to mean a lot to me at the time. And then hearing compliments when I did, air quotes, here we go, air quotes again, solve the problem. But then when the problem came back, because that was not sustainable ever, every single time, multiple times I ever lost weight, I always gained it back, gained more of it. And so it felt like I was solving a problem, but it just created more problems.
And Chrissy, that's like the golden nugget. Back it up 10 seconds and listen to that again, because that's what happens. We want this like instant gratification sort of solution, right? To if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling like, okay, there's this big issue, I need something to solve, and restricting will do that, or binging will do that, or fill in the blank with whatever the behavior is that you're struggling with. And 99.99 forever % of the time, it's not going to solve that problem, and it's going to create more. And so if, with working with a provider, a therapist, a recovery coach, whomever it might be, figuring out what is that problem I'm trying to solve and why do I feel like this behavior is the key to that?
Yeah.
Then you can start exploring, okay, well, what are some actual solutions to the problem? Why do I feel like this has been a solution? Because let's look at when has it actually solved the problem fully in the past, right?
Right.
And if it hasn't, if you're still struggling with it, I guess I hate to break it to you, but the problem hasn't been solved.
The root's still there. Yeah.
The root is still there. And so I say this, and Chrissy, I think we're both like saying this in love again.
Grace.
Please don't feel shame. Give yourself grace, because I promise you're not the only one that has tried to fill these needs with a behavior that's not life-giving, right? And these needs are valid. We need all of these needs met. You have so many needs that need to be met. And the enemy doesn't have to be the one controlling the way that you think those needs are getting met. They can actually be met, and the Lord wants to come alongside you and be part of that process.
He does, and He will. I noticed this happening to myself, so I'm going to say it right now. Listener, I want you to take a moment to unclench your jaw. Just kind of open your mouth. Just let your jaw fall and open your mouth, and then take a very deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And then exhale through your mouth slowly until you get it all the way out. This is something that has been very healing for me. It's a temporary coping skill, but it's come to my attention how often I will clench my jaw. When I hear things like this that are, I don't want to say that they're triggering, but that they're hitting home. And then my internal wiring is saying, you should feel ashamed of yourself. You should feel terrible. Why is this a problem for you? Why can't you get it together? Like, this is the messaging I hear. This is not from God. This is from the enemy. And as I don't realize that I'm hearing those things, but when I hear those things, that's when I start to feel my jaw clenched and my hands will be in a ball, in a fist. Just take a moment to receive the love that God has for you right now, that He sent His Son to die on the cross for you, to set you free from this bondage that you feel, and that He cares about this struggle that you're in. He's there. He sees you. And if you haven't invited Him in, I encourage you to consider it. Just sometimes we don't even consider where God fits in this story, but He fits. And the enemy has tried to come in and really cause this big division between you and the Lord, but He's there. I know that took it a different direction a little bit, but that's ultimately why we're here. That's why these podcasts that we host, that's why they exist, because we want you to understand how much the Father loves you. He created you. He knows everything about you. He finds you very worthy of freedom, worthy of life and breath and unclenched jaws, and worthy of good things. And He wants to use you. He wants to use your story of brokenness and restoration to help others. But hear me say that it just starts with this one step, this one first step. And what that is for you, I don't know. But I guess I would ask you, Brittany, what are some next steps if we have come to this place and we had to like stop for a moment and unclench our fist and unclench our jaws and breathe and look around the room? What do we see? If you're driving, is there something pretty, a tree or gardening? I don't know. Just to kind of bring yourself back around. Brittany, what next steps could you share for us?
I loved what you just said, Christy, and that you walked through that, because I'm 100% in agreement that Christ wants to be not just a small part of this process. He wants to be at the very center, and he will be if you allow him to be. And so from our conversation today, if you recognize and you're, again, giving yourself grace for saying, okay, I've fallen into some of these mistake traps. I've believed that my body image is going to get better, if my body changes, or I've been putting off learning how to develop and cultivate that body wisdom because I don't know that I want to eat intuitively yet. I'm, still holding on to diet mentality or that goal of weight loss, or, I've realized like I'm trying to do all these things to cope that aren't actually meeting a need or creating a pathway to freedom. They're just perpetuating it. Give yourself, again, grace for that. And I would say a couple of simple next steps to take. If you recognize any of those needs that I walked through and you're like, Brittany, Chrissy, like one of those or more, maybe all 7 stuck out. And I notice I'm using this behavior to meet this need and this other behavior to meet these needs. Or maybe you're just saying like, I recognize I need those needs met, but I'm not sure what behaviors are doing what. Chrissy, I will send you a link. I've got a free resource. It's just like a quiz sort of style assessment. And you can go through and just like fill in the blank with whatever the behavior is to figure out which of those needs maybe is that behavior meeting for you. That's a really simple next step. And take it to a friend or family member that's a great support for you. Take it to a provider maybe that you're working with to talk through and say, I really think binging is doing this for me, or I really feel like restricting might be doing this for me. Ask the Lord for wisdom in that first, right? A quiz or a resource is like not the be all end all. So if you do that, take the solution or take the, whatever the results are to the Lord and say, God, is this accurate? Is this helpful for me to know? And then have a conversation with someone about it. Filter it through the lens of Scripture and go, how can I really take it a step towards freedom? I really need to feel more safe, but I'm tired of trying to shrink my body to feel more safe. What can I do instead? And open up that really scary conversation, because it's hard to bring up those vulnerable things, whether it's in a therapy session or with a friend, right? We don't always want to talk about the root stuff. We want to talk about what's the Band-Aid to fix this right now. So patience is a big key to that. So take the needs assessment if that feels like a smooth, simple next step to just figure out what those needs are. And then absolutely reach out for some support. I'm such a huge believer, and I love seeing it play out, what happens when you get in community. I know, Chrissy, y'all, Finding Balance has some great resources to get you connected to community, prayer groups, the Finding Balance modules and courses, and getting the education so that you know how to generate some of that conversation in your own community. Get the support that you need, because once you figure out what are these areas where maybe you've been putting your foot on the brake, all right, where maybe you're trying to move forward. I give this analogy sometimes of like, I did something super embarrassing when I was learning how to drive, and I was essentially trying to drive with both feet. And so I pushed my foot down on the gas pedal, and my car just went, and it made this horrible noise. And it's because I had another foot on the brakes. And so give yourself grace if you've been trying to drive with 2 feet, right? Just uncover those areas where you've still got your foot on the brake, where it feels like I've been putting in all this energy to try to get rid of my food guilt or get rid of these body image issues, and give yourself grace to go, okay, if I'm finding these mistakes or these areas that I'm struggling, there's no condemnation. There's freedom in going, now I know what to do maybe to remove them, or at least I know where to focus. So take the needs assessment or get some support from somebody so you can have some genuine conversations about these areas where maybe you're finding that you've been holding yourself back or something else has been holding you back.
Yes, we will link all of those things in the show notes. Brittany, you've mentioned the resource for Finding Balance, the Christian Treatment Finder.
Yes.
So that link is in the show notes as well. And it's a great place to find help that is from Christian providers who can take the approach of a biblical, Christ-centered, where does Jesus fit kind of approach. And for those who are looking for that, it is a great resource. And you really got to sign up for Brittany's, her newsletter. They're really good. I remember when you said the brakes thing, I remember seeing that come across my email and I thought that is good. I remember learning how to drive and that was my natural instinct to want to use 2 feet. And I love how you put it in this context. Brittany, thank you so much. This was really good. To wrap up, would you describe to us the last time you experienced true freedom?
I so love this question, Chrissy. And I think for me, freedom comes when you follow faith and not fear. And so the last time that I remember just like feeling really afraid and choosing faith instead was when I said yes to the Lord, when he called me away from my very predictable, very secure 8 to 5 kind of job.
Oh, yeah. We've both been there. Yes.
Yeah. And he was like, I need you to go into private practice. And I was like, I don't have a client base built up. I'm not going to have benefits. What are you asking me to do? And I really had to trust in his leading. But I had this like joy-filled, peaceful assuredness that he was calling me to minister to women through Christ-centered, specifically recovery coaching. And so that was terrifying for me. Like knowing that that's what I wanted to do. I was so confident in that. But leaving something that felt so secure and so predictable, I was like, are you sure this is how you want me to do it? Right? I know what you want me to do. I'm on board. Are you sure this is how you want it to happen? And so I just remember this total sense of freedom when I turned in my resignation and said, like, I'm taking the next step that God has for me, and I'm sure that this is what it is. And it's been so cool to see how he's used that, even in just simple things. Like today, my daycare is closing early because there's a threat of severe weather. And I have the ability now to go pick my kids up instead of scrambling and going, oh my goodness, like I got to leave. I got to reschedule all these sessions, And so as scary as it was to do that process initially, the Lord he's given me opportunity to be more present with my family, to minister and make an impact on women who, wouldn't have maybe even been able to come to like a residential treatment center.
Right.
So, I think just that takeaway, like freedom follows faith and not fear, like just holding on to that. That's where I found the most freedom.
That is stunning. I love the imagery of that. I relate to you so much. Those Moses moments in the beginning of, Lord, don't you see all of these things that reasons this won't work? Like, he's like, darling, I just love you. Like, it's going to be fine. Trust me. Yeah.
I love that you just said darling. That like,
darling,
blesses my heart. I love hearing the Southern accents.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you, Brittany, for being on the show. I'm so glad we did this today.
Oh, me too. Thank you for having me, Chrissy. It's been such a joy and pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Old School Food Freedom Podcast. For over 20 years, Finding Balance has been helping people walk in freedom by discovering where Jesus fits into their struggles with food and body image. If you want more biblical truth and encouragement, head on over to FINDINGbalance.com and subscribe to our free daily vitamin devotional. While you're there, explore our Christ-centered Lasting Freedom online course and small group tools. You can help keep this ministry going by donating today at FINDINGbalance.com. See you next time. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, or prescribe a particular course of action. If you have or suspect you may have an eating disorder, please consult your healthcare provider. If you desire to receive faith-based care, visit ChristianTreatmentFinder.com to browse professionals with a Kingdom campaign against eating disorders.